Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this double point card. I've often seen lots of photographs of this but never knew how it worked. I could tell from the photographs that this bit was raised. I don't know how much you can see from the on the camera here, but I could see that this bit was raised. I just didn't know how it worked out, but I found a video the other day and this lifts up, which is why it's a double point card. And not only that, but it opens up like that. Isn't that brilliant? I think it's absolutely super. The other day I found a video showing how to make it, so full credit for this goes to the Pampered Stamper. She's Canadian. Her name is Jackie. Her surname is B-U-L-T-J-E. Sorry Jackie, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. But it was her video that I saw, and I followed. It was just absolutely superb. So for that, I will put a link to Jackie's blog below, because I'm going to be giving the measurements if you're using A4 cardstock. If you want American sizes, that's what you can see on Jackie's blog. So I'm not going to make this. The card I'm actually going to be making is this. This is my first one that I did, and I was really pleased with it because I love poppies. And inside it's like that. But I had forgotten when I made this that Jackie said don't make it as an opening card this way, which is my normal way, because she said when it stands up it'll topple over, and it does. It's far too heavy to have it, which is why I've done it this way, which is what I'm going to show you how to do. But this is the design I'm doing. Okay, so let's start off with the cardstock you're going to need. I don't have the metric measurements, and the reason for that is one of these I am going to give measurements in 1/16 of an inch, and I'm, as you know, I'm not very au fait with centimetres, so that was just too close for me to try and work that one out. So to start off with, you need a piece of Whisper White Cardstock that measures 4 1/8 inches by 11.5 inches, scored and folded at 5 3/4 inches. You need one piece of Poppy Parade. Now I suggest you write on these two pieces which is which, because if you pick the wrong one up and put the one that's on the outside on the inside, you're going to be finishing up with one that's too small. So the one that goes on the outside, I think, front of the card, yep, is 3 7/8 of an inch by 5 9/16. Now I am sorry about that, but when you've put this onto that piece of cardstock, it adds an extra little bit of height to this white layer, which means you can lose almost all of the layer that's underneath there. Okay, so I do try and avoid giving you 1/16, but 5 9/16 is that first line past the 5.5. If you've got, in fact, if you've got any kind of trimmer, I think they all have 1/16 of an inch. So it's that first black line past the 5.5. Okay, it may still be a bit too long. You may have to trim a bit more off, but it's obviously, you can trim bits off, but you can't put them back on. Okay, so let's go back to that. You've got your card base. You've got this piece, which is 3 7/8 inches by 5 9/16 inches. Then you have another piece of Poppy Parade, which is 3 7/8 inches by 5.5 inches. I'll show you the difference between them. They're the same width, but you can see the difference in the height of them. It's only a small bit, but you need that little bit. So those two, you need 2 pieces of Whisper White cardstock, and these both measure 5 3/4 inches by 5 3/8 inches. Then you need a piece of Poppy Parade, which measures 5 inches by 3 inches, Whisper White, which measures 2.5 by 4.25 inches, and then 2 pieces of Designer Series paper, and I'm using the Poppies. I haven't learnt the names of these. What are we called? Peaceful Poppies, because the day that I'm videoing this is the day that this catalogue goes live, and it's also the date that celebration starts as well. So if you place an order for every £45 or €60, you can choose a gift from the celebration brochure. So you need 2 pieces, both should measure 2 7/8 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and the 3 3/4, if you've got a directional pattern like I have, the 3 3/4 is along the top there. Okay, that's your short one. And I've chosen to use a directional pattern to show you how you make sure you get your 2 pieces still facing the right way, like here. Okay, so I've got my poppies going up, and my poppies are still going up that way. I don't have upside down poppies, and it's so easy, very easy to remember that. So that's all you're going to be needing. Let's move that over there. Let's do the easy bits first, and that is for this one, that's 9/16, that's for the front, that's 5.5. So I'm going to put that and that on the inside. If you find, like me, you get a front or the back is a bit shorter, put the shorter one at the back. And especially with this card, because I've had to ask you to do 9/16, that extra little bit could be all the difference that you need. At the end of the day, it depends on how you actually do your folding. And what has happened? Is this my tombow? I think so. Let's just get rid of the bit on the top there. Right, so that's this one. I'm not going to worry about erasing the pencil marks. They're not going to be seen. I think this poppy bundle will be my absolute favourite out of everything, because I love poppies, particularly red ones. So there's that. In fact, I might as well stamp my poppy here first, mightn't I? As I'm going to pop it inside, and that'll all be done. So I'm going to start with Stays On. The stamp set I'm using is Painted Poppies, and I'm going to use that stamp and that one. That's all the colouring that this is going to be needing. I'm just going to put Poppy down in the corner. I could have used the smaller one, I suppose, but I have this one now, so we'll do it. There we go. And I'm going to use the block, the solid stamp, and I'm using Poppy Parade. And this comes up very, very textured. Now this will not line up with the poppy, which is one of the things I like about it. But I did find when I was playing with this yesterday that I didn't think that this looked very nice when I die cut it. You may disagree with me on that. I think it looks lovely like this, but if you die cut it, because the die cuts some of the red off around the edges, I think it just spoils it. I did also do some poppies yesterday that I coloured using blends, I think I did, and I die cut those, and that was lovely, really, really lovely. She says modestly. There we go. So that's the inside of my card, that's fine. Put that to one side. So what we're going to need next is this and these, because I do the stamping on the inside once I've got this fixed on there, don't I? So we do this bit first. Oops, I've left my ink open there. So what I'll do is I'm going to bring my trimmer over. Oh, I've left the lid off that as well. Not setting a very good example, am I? Right, so with these two pieces here, you need to score them along the long side at 1 inch. Now if you've got a directional pattern like I have, you just do score 1 at the top and 1 at the bottom. If you do it like that, you're not going to make any mistakes. All your poppies can stamp the right way. But don't be too heavy-handed when you do this. I did it yesterday and I pushed so hard I went straight through the Designer Series paper, cut it off. Hold on, I'm doing this back front, aren't I? I want my score mark on the top. Let's try that again. Okay, so I've got my poppies facing that way. So for my second one, I want my poppies facing that way. So I'm scoring 1 inch up from the bottom. Okay, very nice and easy to remember this. So that's all you're going to need your trimmer for now. So we'll take out a piece of Whisper White and fold over and give it a burnish, and that one, fold that, that's right, okay, just checking that I have done it the right way. So my poppies there up the right way, they're upside down, which is good because they're going to go like that. So first of all, you're going to adhere that onto there, and they should both be the same width. And you want to do it so that you're not adding too much height onto this one here. This is where your 1/16 of an inch is coming in, because obviously by having a fold there, it is adding on to the height. So I'm going to be using Tombow for gluing mine down. You can use tear and tape. I don't think I'd recommend snail. You want something that's going to really hold. Make sure I've got the front there. Line that up. Push it down as far as it will go, the underneath bit. So when you fold it over, you've got it going over as tight as possible. Just make sure that you are in the centre though. If that won't fold over, you've gone too high. That's it. That's a great thing about Tombow. It does give you a bit of time to play around. Right, now we're going to do the bottom end. So again, try and get the white as far up to the centre of the fold as possible. And just make sure you're all lined up beautifully there. Okay. Now I normally find that I finish up with the actual fold line visible, which I have there. Now what you need to do is to fold this corner down to there, this one down to there, and the same that end. And what I like to do is I use my grid paper. I want to make a mark there in the middle, because when you open up the card, this bit gets seen. So if you've made it very uneven, it's going to be visible and it will spoil the look of your card. So can you see? You can't see right the way down here, can you? Where am I? No, you can't. Okay, let me just check where I need to go and then I'll move up again. 6. Right, that's halfway. Oh, you don't need me to go quite that high. Okay. So I have positioned that so that my dark line here, which you can just about see, that's my centre line. So I'm going to make a pencil mark there. I'm going to slide it down so I can make a pencil mark at the top there as well, making sure that I'm straight again. Going a bit wonky, aren't I? Right, there we go. You could just use a ruler and measure it half of 3 3/4 inch. Was it 3 3/4? Yes, it was, wasn't it? I'm not quite sure what that would be because that's going down to 37.5, isn't it? Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fingernail on my pencil mark just to start a little crease. And I'm using my fingernail to start a little crease there. And then if I hold my fingernails in there and there, it should be quite easy to fold it over parallel to the score line. But note that I am going just above it. You still need to be able to get this folded over, okay, so you don't want to go down too tight. Now if I've measured that correctly, this is going to fold over, so it's going to run down by the side of that. So let's see. Okay, I'm going to have a gap there. I don't mind if it stays as a straight gap, which I think it is. Let me just give that a little burnish. Do go careful with the amount of burnishing you do because this is Designer Series paper and it will crack. Okay, so can you see my gap there? It's the same all the way. I doubt if you would be able to get it absolutely next door to each other, and the fact that that isn't absolutely a perfect point doesn't matter because that will be covered up from the outside. So then you can fold that one over. Perfect. So before we move on to the next one, let's glue that down. Now you could use snail for this, but I'm giving Tombow work out, so there we go, lovely. So that's the first one. Now we're going to do the same to the second one. So fingernail by the pencil mark, fingernail there, and then bend this over. No, don't go too far down. Come back a bit. That's better. Okay, and I'll do the other side. And then bring this down. Yep, that looks as if I've got that nice and even as well. Okay, you see the gap there between those. So I'm happy with that. So more Tombow. Just give it a good press, make sure that does stick down nicely. Okay, so poppies are all up the right way there. Right, so we need we need to do some stamping in here, and I do this bit first because once I've die cut the red bit out of here, okay, once I've die cut that, I'm going to finish up with something that looks like this. I've lost my red one, but this is what I was left over with last time, and this is what I use to gauge where I need to do the stamping in there. So hold on to that. Whoops. So shall I do my stamping first on here? I think so, because I need to get this straight. On here I'm going to do the happy birthday first, and this comes from another new stamp set, which is part of the Peaceful Poppies bundle, and this is what I'm using here. This has got a die set called Poppy Moments that goes with it, and the Painted Poppies has painted labels that go with it, but all four go together brilliantly. So I'm going to use Stays On because that's the ink that I have. Now I have already die cut one of these because I struggle to get things straight, as you know. Right, are you still in picture there? Yep. Come down now. Excuse me while I lean forward a little bit. Wow. I hope I just haven't gone too high with that, that's all. Where's the other one? I saved the white one as well. Well, that should be right, that'll fit. Good, good. Okay. And I'll stamp the poppy on there afterwards. So first of all, let's get the Big Shot up. And do you remember recently I've been saying that I've been having problems with my Big Shot? Well, hubby found out what was wrong. The problem was with the magnetic platform. It had, bits of this had bubbled up, and in various places all over here. He said try a different magnetic platform, which I did. This is another one, and it works beautifully. So I was all ready for getting rid of my Big Shot. I was convinced that was what the problem was, but no. Right, what did I do with my dies? Here we go. Now the dies that I'm using are called Stitched Nested Labels, and these coordinate with the Free as a Bird set, and I'm using numbers 6 and 7. As you know, I always start smaller the die, smaller the number, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this one's going to be number 6. Let's just see where the point has got to go so I don't lose that. I am a bit high really. I might use the other one. I was going to say if I know what I've done with it, but I can see it. Okay, so there's that one. And this one obviously, oops, not left enough room. Let's bring this down. Just pop that on. Let's try that, see what happens. There we go. It is high. I might, you see that was the one I did earlier. It is better positioned. But I won't waste that. I will save that for another card where I can get a bigger picture in there. At least it's straight. which is the main thing. And die cut first time, look at that, beautiful. And this is the one I'm going to use as a frame, as my guide. Okay, that can go away now. So we'll have this back, we'll have this, and then we can do this bit. Right, first of all, let's see what happens when we get this one on here. See how much space we have. But look at that. I'm not going to trim any of mine. You see the size of the gap that I've got down here and down that side. It's not, that really doesn't give me any problem at all. Quite happy. What I'm saying is it may not be absolutely identical on all four sides, but it's certainly close enough. The recipient wouldn't notice. Well, unless they're a card maker, they might do. Right. Again, I'm not erasing the pencil marks. I'll bring this up close so that you can see it. See, maybe I could take just a tad off the top. Let me show you. See, those three sides are absolutely spot on. The one up there is a bit bigger, but I don't think I'll worry about that. Right, so we're going to put these two on next. Well, we'll do our daisy and then we'll put these two on. Daisy, Poppy. So I need that one and my red one, and stays on. Just pop that somewhere in the centre. There we go, spot on, look at that. Close the ink. Let's get our Poppy Parade. See how close you can see that, right? Okay. There we go, that's lovely. So I'm going to pop it onto there. Tweezers. Actually, this is a good example where the top and the bottom, the gap is greater than what's at the two sides. So there's no need for me to worry that I got the top on my card is the gap is greater than the rest of it. I've got hairy bits there. Should have knocked them off before I started, but never mind. Oops, come back. Now, what we're going to do, make it, if you've got a directional pattern, make sure you've got your card up the right way. And then we're going to adhere that onto there. This, I think, really does have to be eyeballed. And what you need to look at, one is to make sure that's in the centre of your card, and also to make sure that these angles here are the same as the angles here. In fact, that looks pretty good from here. So what I'm going to do is, once I've knocked off these hairy bits, giving it up the right way, I'm going to put some Tombow on this triangle and this triangle, and then I'm going to put this one on there and slide it up. By doing it like this, it means that I don't finish up with too much Tombow all over the place. Alright, you see that. I'm going to slide this into place again. So that's that. Make sure it's straight, and then I'm going to put this onto here and make sure these angles are the same. Bearing in mind that I'm looking at this from an angle rather than straight down on it, but that looks good to me. Yep, I think that's good. Okay, so when the recipient opens the card up, that's what they will see. So if that's straight, the gap is even, then that's okay. Alright, but my first one wasn't particularly straight, but I'm happy with that. Now, to do the stamping of 2 poppies in there, what I do is I keep my frame, I get a couple of pieces of post-it note, I pop the frame on there, then I bring this down to slot it inside. Obviously you can only do this at the bottom. And once you're happy that that's in place, use your post-it notes to hold it there, on that side, on that side. I'll bring it up so you can see what I'm actually doing. You see how my tab is fitting into the bottom down there? Right, so I can lift that up now. My frame's going to stay there. I know that I've got to do my stamping in that bit. Okay, nice and easy. So I'm going to use my poppies again. I'm going to do 2 of them. One. Two. So now I need the red, what I call splodge stamp. In fact, that can come off now. Bring this down so that I can do my splodge. And my second splodge. Jackie actually put another sentiment on the inside here on her card. Okay, so the recipient doesn't know that that's under there when they first see their card. So what a lovely surprise. And then what we need to do now is to pop this onto our card. Here it is. Wondered what I'd done with it. go. I think that needs to go over that side a bit. I think that's right. Let me just hold it up. No, it's come down too far. Oh, might be too late now to put it up a bit. That's better. Straight, yep. It's still got a smaller gap down there, but it's more in proportion. Like the red and the white about the same, and at the top there, the white's closer to the red. So there we go, that's today's card. Ooh, forgetting that it's opening up this way. Okay. It will need to be flattened a bit. What I tend to do with this, or at least what I've done with the other two, is I've rested it under my, I work on a self-healing cutting mat, so I will pop that underneath for a little while, because I don't like to keep on using my bone folder on here, because it will crack it. Okay, so I will just pop it under there. So there we go, there's that card, and there's that one. And I will try and retrieve bits off of this one because it's not going to work opening up that way. But otherwise there's nothing wrong with it. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed today's project. Obviously loads and loads of ideas that you could use for this. I chose to use a Poppies one because I really love Poppies, but also because it's so quick and easy to colour because of the splodge stamp. Which is important when I'm thinking about making videos. So many thanks for joining me today. If you have any questions or any comments to make, please leave them in the box below the video. To access the video, you have to be watching on YouTube, and depending on which device you're watching on, if you're on something like a laptop, PC, whatever, there'll be underneath 3 lines of writing on the left hand side. It'll say show more. Click on that and it'll open up. If you're on something like a mobile phone, there's a down arrow on the right hand side. If you click on that, it'll open it up. Also in the box below you will find all the measurements, you'll find all the products that I've used, together with a link to my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop. If you've enjoyed my video and would like to be notified each time I upload a new one, please click on the subscribe button, which is down there in the bottom right hand corner, and also click on the bell. That way you'll get notifications once I've uploaded. If you'd like to know any more details about celebration, I've already told you about you get one free gift for every £45 or €60 you spend, and that is for every £45, €60. So if your order was £90 or €120, you'd be able to choose 2 gifts from the brochure, and it just keeps going on whatever size your order is. And there are level 1, level 2 gifts. There's also a really special promotion as far as joining Stampin' Up is concerned. If you'd like to know what's involved in being either a discount shopper, so you just get discount on your shopping, or as a business builder like myself, please contact me on JanB at janbcards.com. And I think that's probably about it for today. Happy New Year to you all, and I will be back with you next week. In the meantime, happy crafting. Cheerio.